you are buying a particular stock. Now, a combination of fundamentals and technical analysis can give you an informed decision. Welcome to Clockwise Live, where we do a technical analysis of every stock we have called for you to understand the price action. Now, today we'll be talking about industrial stocks, and we have 5 of them. Like I do it often, I'm not here alone. My stock market analyst and researcher is here. Now, with a resounding virtual round of applause, welcome Mr. Kanem. Welcome to Clockwise.
Thank you.
I know we have predicted it, but you see, we are stock market. Now, we're focusing today on industrial stocks. Let's have a the industrial index.
Okay, so the market for industrials has been very attractive. I mean, we've seen blown out quarters for most of the industrial names. I mean, it's been, I don't think there is any of the industrials that has done so poorly this for the half year 2026. So we are going to just reflect on a few of them and then look at the charts to see what. But first of all, let us look at.
Before we go, are you surprised about Dangote Cement? Are you surprised with the earnings report?
No, I'm not surprised at all.
What of BUA?
I have told you, BUA. Well, I would say BUA. I'm not surprised, but BUA is less overwhelming. It's not beat my expectation as much as HBM.
Okay.
HBM has been.
That was from Lafarge.
And for Lafarge. And you know, HBM has been. So they have the likes of like HBM. HBM did very, very well. We are going to look at some of the results, but I'm excited.
See, I have a problem with. No, don't you understand?
But that is just, you see, that's just the reality. I remember I told you when I mentioned Lafarge, we should actually look at. I said that with the fact that these Chinese guys have taken over that name, HBM,
yes.
Oxen Building Materials, Nigerian PLC, that I am almost very certain that there's going to be a turnaround. Because remember, expand not just the production capacity but your distribution network. So, and these are some of the 2 indicators. Now, if you are talking about one of the things that hinders most of these industrials from going very, very, from doing large scale expansion. But when you are having access to capital coming in, remember, in a high interest environment, you need a chance. Then you leverage the arbitrage.
So we can actually conclude that we are seeing somebody that will compete favorably well with Dangote Cement.
They will compete.
They've dominated the market. Dangote Cement, I don't know.
It would take some time, because remember that the market capitalization of BUA and HBM combined
cannot be up to Dangote.
It's not up to Dangote. That's about 14 trillion.
Yes, yeah.
If you combine both of them together, Dangote is 17 trillion.
Okay, all right.
So in terms of market cap, we just want to have an alternative to Dangote.
Chinese cannot do.
We just want to have. Okay, so let's look at some of a few of the big pointers which got me very excited about what we've been having for BUA Cement. It's in fact, for most of them, they have had very interesting. For instance, I'm going to be very. BUA Cement had a top line growth of 25% and a bottom line growth of 19.9 of 79%. Okay. Yeah, 79% in terms of the bottom line. Okay. That is actually a very good growth. And then if you look at even the earnings, the earnings did a 79.59% increase. Okay. That is, I don't know if that is not a very interesting outcome, then I don't know what is. That for me is a blowout quarter for the industrial name. That's BUA Cement. And
what of the price action?
Is that
the price of BUA Cement?
But price action of BUA Cement has been very good. I mean, you're looking at this time last year, BUA was trading at 148 naira. BUA Cement. Okay. Now BUA Cement is trading at 324, and we knew that BUA Cement had actually gone very high. BUA Cement was the one I told you about someone, a mentee, that actually over 450, and over 450, then had this price crash. Of course, remember we had this for us was not done. Look at this. This for us was a pointer that Boa Cement from so that's why it came in. Took this out very nicely. See it powering back up. Yeah. Now I believe that Boa Cement is. And Boa Cement is going to have a very good, very nice pickup. That's why I told her not to trim her position whatsoever. Okay. I believe that this will come back up. With this kind of result, it's going to be. I know one of the reasons why you are not seeing a lot of. Once Boa Cement announces their dividends and then qualification dates, you see what will happen. The market will be. So for me, I think this at this point I didn't buy Boa Cement because I think it was a little bit at that time. I think the price to earnings was north of 26 times, 12 months trailing. So, but I mean, at this point, there's been a collapse in of the price action, and therefore, now the other name that I want us to really look at is on the apps that we are using to. So if you look at this is it. So if you look at this, watch this.
Okay.
That was just a blowout. Let me look at it. Let me. I don't know what you're asking more than this. Listen, you 81%. The bottom line 57%. That's for Boa, and then total comprehensive income 57%. And then you ready? The share price this time last year, 92 naira per share. As I speak, trading at my record, it was trading at 375. It has corrected a little bit, but it was trading at 375 naira per share. That represents a 305% increase. Let me just tell you what that means. It means that if you are done 1 million naira in Boa Cement, you ready? You'll be sitting on 4.5 million, 4,050,000 naira.
Okay.
So that is to show you the kind of return on investment that this name has created. And if you look at the price action is insane. Would I be willing to buy Boa Cement, HBM at this point? I don't think so. I would still a good point for me, because if you look at, even though it's still trading at a very low PE ratio, for 14 times earnings, but I would still, speaking technically, I would still be looking for a position down here. I'll be looking for a position at, let's say, at 240 naira mark, but that doesn't mean I wouldn't start allocating once it takes out this low. I will start allocating once it takes out this low, but I will, because this is in technical terms, this is an inducement. But I don't want to go so technical. But for me, I would look for a position down here, really, to allocate to HBM. Right. This is a very blowout quarter. HBM did very insane number. And then if you look at the equity, 805 billion is what, and then the market capitalization, like I told you, is 6 trillion. 6 trillion. And then what else? Very healthy balance sheet. I'm saying this book value for 50 naira. Now, if you look value, so I don't think this company is by no means undervalued.
Okay.
Because once the value of the stock or the price of value, then you can't say it's undervalued. If you compare this to the banks, as we are going to be seeing maybe in future, once they begin to release more, most banks, a number of banks are trading at below book value. That's why I tell you there's a lot of value. But again, there's a lot of value here. The reason is because we are having expansion. The price of homes skyrocketing. And so that also reflects in the price of building materials. And this election period,
where there are
a lot of building, road construction. If you look at it, road construction now is actually, they are using the coal tar. Okay, right. So that for me represents an opportunity. And I think we called Boa Cement when on the show when it was trading at just one. If you had entered that, with the profit you'll be making.
Okay, now let's look at Dangote Cement.
Dangote Cement.
Just like MTN, they actually proved yesterday that they were the big boys of the Nigerian stock market. And Dangote Cement has also proven the same.
And do you know one thing about Dangote Cement? Speaking of which, Dangote Cement, you get is 17 trillion.
Yeah.
But guess what? It's trading at a lower multiple. Dangote is trading at
13.6
times earnings. So in terms of being cheap, Dangote is cheaper than BUA. Let's just look at Dangote. So I'll show you. I mean, you saw the chart of BUA. Someone will say, BUA is. Let me show you Dangote Cement.
Yeah.
So someone will say BUA is just 6 trillion naira in market cap. So Dangote is way more expensive, but that is not true. Dangote is less expensive than BUA. But look at the price of Dangote. Dangote did a very serious run-up. At this point, it's trading at just 13 times earnings. Remember what I told you? I said, we don't look at the stock price. This one, Dangote is 1,034. Yeah. BUA was what? 363. But Dangote is cheaper than BUA. So I know that a lot of people, I see a lot of people.
Emphasis on that conversation.
I've done that over and over again on the podcast. Said you don't look at the share price. People, a lot of especially newbie investors, look at the share price and say, oh, this stock is very, very expensive. Dangote is expensive. Dangote is not expensive. BUA is trading at 14 times earnings. Dangote is trading at 13 times earnings. So you realize that Dangote is cheaper than BUA.
Not the stock price.
Not the stock price. And by the way, apart from even the earnings, you look at Dangote. Dangote is roughly 187 in terms of book value, 187.91 naira. So if you round that up to, for purpose of math, round that up to 80, then that is like 5 times book value. BUA that we saw was what? 7 times book value. Oh, sorry, HBM was 7 times book value. So that is how you look at to be able to value. This is Dangote by the book value and the current stock price. It is way cheaper than HBM. Then if you also look at something which is look at the equity. Equity is insane. Dangote's equity is 3.17. That is what we call shareholder value. Right. It's 3.17 trillion. You know, it would take about. The other guy was 6 trillion in market capitalization. That's Dangote is about 3 times, roughly 3 times, because it's 17 times in market capitalization. But guess what? HBM was not up to 1 trillion in equity. 3.1 trillion in equity value. I'm not trying to pick names, but I'm just trying to show you how we look at names and know which name is it holds. Dangote holds a higher value. If you look at even the HBM, like we said, I think it was equity was 805. So if you multiply 805 by 3, that gives you roughly 2.4 trillion. Okay. But Dangote is 3.1.
Right. Before we go to the last two, now if you're just joining us, this clockwise live, and we're actually analyzing the industrial index. Now we're talking about 5 industrial stocks. We've had the industrial stocks rather. We've had the video. If you check our page, you see the video on it. We're trying to analyze it to show you the price action. Now on that note, you can actually send us live questions, and we are here to respond to your questions and provide answer live on the show. Thank you for joining. Let's continue down to number 4.
Okay, so I'm going to bring up Transcorp Power.
Okay.
Transcorp Power. Transcorp Power is, I mean, they have actually done their earnings call. I know they thought that a lot of, sorry, I'm almost saying Transcorp, sorry guys, Transcorp Power, okay, good. So this is more like an energy play for me. So
weekly is okay.
Yeah. So if you look at something, there's something about investors. Once you do well, they reward you. Once you do bad,
they punish you.
They punish you immediately.
Yeah.
But let me say something about Transcorp Power. You see, there are some names that we call turnaround plays for us. Turnaround play for us are those names that would, if you look at, they are, especially when a name is in what I can call had a very serious headwind,
okay.
you know, then you are trying guys in the petroleum sector. It can be very rough with you.
Yeah.
But I'm also concerned about this name, and the reason I'm concerned about this name, by the way, we are doing very honest analysis here. I'm concerned about this name because the earnings multiple, I think, is on the high side. So when a company is of 30 times earnings, what earnings multiple mean? It means, like, for example, when we talked about Dangote, we said that Dangote was 13 times earnings. Do you know what that means? It means that for every 1 naira of earnings of Dangote, you pay 13 naira. You might want to have a small a marginal exposure to Transcorp Power. Yes, it's
like what percentage?
I think 5% would be the maximum I would go. You know, I put this in the likes of Owando. You know, I expected that reaction from you.
Let's continue.
Not because I don't believe that this could be a good name, but remember, speaking to our newbies. Imagine you can put out. Imagine this. Just let me show you. Imagine just a moment. Just a moment. Okay, sorry. Sorry. So I wanted to show you something. So watch this. If you look at where this is around 280. Sorry. Can you let me close it from there? Close it from there. Let's go back to trading. So if you look at the drawdown, the drawdown was such that if you have someone who is so let's do so if you have someone that is let's say the likes of is a beginner, then the person sees about 25 to 30% drawdown in his portfolio. That could cause someone to begin to think of what he think of suicide, obviously. So the target here is to ensure that we put out names, we are very as objective as possible, and we maybe allocate only maybe 5% to a name that is a turnaround play. Remember, if Transcorp Power does a recovery, the Sharpe ratio of your portfolio will be insane. But guess what? If it draws down, you're just looking at 5%, and 5% is for most hedge funds. 5% is a good figure. But when it comes to allocation, you allocate if 5%. Imagine if 5% does a 3x. That's already 15% on your portfolio. So it's 16% on your portfolio. So for me, I think that Transcorp Power is a name that. If you want to build an industrial portfolio, especially leaning towards energy, then you might want to look at Transcorp Power.
All right. Now, somebody is asking what's wrong with Owando.
No, okay. So listen. So here is the deal. So Owando has. Remember when we talk about in the analysis we mentioned the equity or shareholders' capital. Owando has a negative equity. Not just 100 billion, not 200 billion, not 300 billion, but north of 500 billion. So for that, I'm not saying Owando is something you should not touch, but I'm telling you that Owando is a turnaround play. they acquired Nigerian Ajib Oil Company.
So you have a lot of
yes, it comes with a lot of their liabilities,
yeah.
which puts, if you look at for accounting reasons, if you put that, then it actually gives a negative, figure to the balance sheet.
Yeah.
But now the point is, and by the way, if you look at the numbers, you realize that they did a 36% increase in terms of production year on year. But my point is, how management is able to deploy that facility, which what will tell us whether it is a sustained turnaround play or it is just a fry in the pan.
Okay.
But for me, I think that it's gonna be a good thing, because think about it. If you look at Owando used to be a downstream player.
Yeah.
They just moved into becoming upstream. And then if they're able to manage those assets that which they got, I believe that, and then they maintain a decent operational cash flow, then I think they should be able to over time reverse.
Let's look at the last one before we go.
So the last, for some reason, I would put some kind of a caveat on this. The last name I would look at in the industrial space will be, for me, I think it is.
You can bring up the charts.
Okay, let me.
Okay.
Let's do. So okay, we were doing Transcorp power. Sorry, launch chart so that we can go to.
All right.
So there is a name that I want to also bring up, and this was not part of what we had discussed, but I'm bringing this name, and I'm going to tell you why I'm bringing this name up. Austin Lars. Okay, sorry. Okay. So watch this. This name has had a very rocky movement, but the point is, when you talk about emerging players in this particular space, then this for me is a risky play.
Okay.
But again, the Sharpe ratio could be very, very, very insane. Now, the charts, if you see, there was a very sharp run-up in this name, because if you look at this particular company, you realize that this is a name that, if you are playing in the kind of, let's call it the retail space in the industrials, then you will be looking at Austin Lars. But for beginners, would you be able to enter into this name? No. But for me, I think if I've already set a price target, my price target at 2.5.
Okay.
Yes. Once it comes here, I expect it to tag me into the trade and move. Because if you look at, this is why I'm speaking technically. If you look at, you broke down a little bit and snapped back up. This is the last point. I'm setting my limit order here
at 2.4.
At 2.4, I still have an extended order. If it sweeps this low and comes in here, it should tag me also into the trade. Okay. This is strictly for experienced traders. This is not for newbies. If you're a newbie and you enter this,
you're going to hate the market.
You are going to hate the market. So this just came in this week because I was looking at some other names that we have not really mentioned, and I think that this is also a name that you can consider.
Okay, somebody is asking here: is Bois Cement a good buy for long term?
Bois Cement is a good buy for long. I think we have actually looked at the chart. Bois Cement is a good buy for long term. Let's bring back the chart. Just watch this. Bois Cement is a good buy
for a long term.
Let me tell you why it's a good buy. Bois Cement. We know what happened here around this point. Now, but Bois Cement has taken off. I dare say that Bois Cement will take out this high. Remember, in terms of, look at the numbers that Boa Cement printed. Those numbers are very, very good, very, very excellent numbers. So I think that Boa Cement will take out this high. The only thing is that I don't like this. I don't, speaking technically, I don't like this candle. I don't like, let me tell you why I don't like this candle. I don't like this candle. If this were a bullish candle, I always like, if you are the last candle that fills out a gap, bullish candle. Because this candle here actually introduces, there's some very heavy liquidity here. And liquidity hunters will want to take that out. Okay. But that is just speaking technically. But for me, HBM and Dangote are long-term.
All right, now the last one before we go. I remember we talked about Better Glass.
Yes.
You brought in Better Glass the last time.
I did not bring in Better Glass now because I wanted to introduce something else.
Okay.
I wanted to introduce us. It's something I've looked at. I've looked at Austin last and I said, okay, this is something that people could begin to
experience stress.
The only reason is that, you know, a lot of people look at companies that pay very heavy dividends. Companies, that's the only one that gets to analysts. But you know, I'm a value investor, so I look at some tiny names that are undervalued, and then I also introduce. So if you are building a portfolio of 5 names, I mean, it won't hurt for you to bring in one name that is not exactly, in the mainstream. Okay. But just ensure that your allocation to those names are as tiny as possible. Transcorp Power, I would just do 5%. I would do 5% here. The thing is that if it takes off, then it can actually reap. So, Better Glass, let's look at Better Glass just before we wrap it up.
Before you go, we're going to respond to a particular question. He says, please, what is happening with Transcorp? Okay, we've answered that. Is there hope for this stock? There is hope.
Which Transcorp? There are a lot of Transcorp. Transcorp Power. Okay. So, like I told you, Transcorp Power, I told you the thing. And I told you, I remember in the last video, I told you why I still believe, I still have a position in Transcorp Power, but I still believe that it will go back up. Here is why. Remember that the CBN has said that companies in Nigeria, especially companies that have IT footprint, should relocate to Nigeria in terms of their data centers. Now, building data center, there's one thing. If you look at, even in the US market, the likes of GE Vernova, the likes of Veriv, these are power names that have gone up with memory names. So they are part of the infrastructure play because you are talking about data center and the other thing, you talk about power. Yeah. So I believe that Transcorp Power, like I said, represents a turnaround name. So I'm investing in Transcorp Power because I believe that I'm not investing because I think tomorrow the stock price will rally. I'm investing as a long-term play because I know that as the demand for power increases, as the power space is being unbundled and well structured, the likes of Transcorp Power stand to benefit a lot. AFAM, they are the owners of AFAM, and these are some of the biggest generating plants in the country. So I think that represents a huge opportunity. The only challenge we have is the distribution infrastructure in Nigeria. If generation gets to 6,000 megawatts, you have a system collapse. So if we can have improved transmission and distribution infrastructure, then we can begin to think about doing 10,000 megawatts. Guess who will benefit? Transcorp Power. So I think Transcorp Power is well positioned. Now, Better Glass. I mean, you can see that the name has been performing well, though. These are some of the things I talk about. We expect this to sprint higher, because if it does not sprint higher, do you see the structure that we are seeing now? We are seeing a what? It's almost primed to put up a head and shoulder. Head and shoulder means where are we looking at?
Bottom.
We are looking at the bottom.
The bottom. Yeah.
So, but I don't think that Better Glass is going to, because it is actually being restructured. I mean, we saw.
So you don't advise?
Should you enter at this point? Maybe you could do but it's close to its 52-week high. That is the thing for me. It's close to its 52-week high. I would, as a value investor, I will not be so eager to enter this name at this point. I still believe that we have a prospect at 400. I still believe that we have a prospect at 400. So if I'm going to for any reason enter at this point, it will be a very tiny part of the portfolio. But I will start adding to this name once it crosses the 400.
We're having a lot of messages now. Somebody's asking about Presco. I don't know if we can look at that before.
I think we've looked at Presco. Let us look at Presco. We've looked at Presco. Did a very, you saw the numbers. I think we captured that in our video, the one that is coming out. Yeah. The one that is coming out
on Saturday.
On Saturday.
Tomorrow.
Okay, tomorrow. So we've done that name. I had looked at two names. I mean, we are now used to the fact that if you release your numbers and it is below expectation, even if it is good, but it's below expectation, then the market. Remember, the point is that Presco did an insane Q1. Okay. So Q2 is expected to be even more, more of a better play. So if it is not, of course, investors will. But speaking technically, if you can look at the charts now, you will see why that market had to collapse. I've always said that these are, at this point, you saw that there was a very serious gap. And I expected this gap to also be filled at the same time too. Okay. So Presco generally is a name. If I have to pick just one name in agriculture, it's Presco.
Not Okomu.
But Okomu, maybe for diversification purpose, if I want to pick one name, it will be Presco. Now, let me tell you, Okomu, if you look at their earnings growth, was negative in the last call. Okay. So, I mean, for a name that is, if you have two competing names, one of them prints a lower earning. It was 6 naira. That's a decline. So for that reason, I would actually lean on Presco. But apart from that, Presco is even a better name in terms of valuation.
All right, thank you. I think we're gonna answer everybody now. Should we try? Do
we have just two more and then we are done?
Okay, somebody's asking about ICO Insurance, I guess.
ICO Insurance, today is the deadline for,
Is the person asking because...
No, today is the deadline for recapitalization. And then at the last we told 25 of the 53 insurance name had already gotten their capital. See, let me tell you something about ICO. This is an insane, you can see, this is an insane accumulation. ICO is a behemoth. When it comes to
insurance,
there are 3 names I have when it comes to insurance. You have ICO, you have you have NEM, but you have custodian.
Yeah.
See, if you ask me to pick, I'll pick ICO, I'll pick NEM, I'll pick custodian. Azamaza, yes, I could pick them, but those are the top 3 names I will pick. So ICO is a strong name. I think if you are in ICO, you should still be sit step on your position. If you are not in ICO, is this a good place to buy? On the weekly, it is way above the discount region. But I mean, it's a point that you can start accumulating, because the only reason why investors are not very keen is that ICOs, even though it's been steadily increasing, but their payout it's been sitting below 40% of their earnings. So, for example, you earn 1 naira and you pay 40 kobo, or if you pay 30 kobo. So it's not something that it's a
good point to actually invest into it.
Why would I advise someone to invest in this? Because remember, ICO at this point has already consolidated. So the fear of ICO going to the market to raise capital to meet up with the consolidation target is not there. Okay. So the fear of dilution is not there. So investors will not have any reason to really want to sell this name.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. I think we can end it here. We'll continue on Tuesday. Thank you for coming.
You're welcome.
Thank you for coming. Now, on that note, we've come to the end of today's episode of Clockwise Live. Now, please do not forget to like, to subscribe, and also put a notification bell on this channel because of the amazing content we bring. Now, we do this almost twice a week. So the next time we'll be here will be Tuesday, same time, same channel. My name is Providence, and my analyst was Mr. Kandem. See you again.